What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizzell. Today we are taping the historic Lincoln building right here in the 18th and Vine District. Today's special guest has been on the program once before. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Kansas City Housing Authority Director, Mr. Edwin Lowndes. Welcome to What's Up, Kansas City.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's get right into it. What's going on?
We have a lot of things going on at the Housing Authority. The last time we talked about the smoking ban that we implemented within all of our properties. And
How's that going?
I'm very proud to say it's been extremely successful. We were worried. It went into effect, or was passed by our board in April of 2014. Went into effect June 1st. We gave our current residents up to January 1st to become fully compliant. Mm-hmm. So it's in full effect January 1st, 2015. And to date, we've only had a handful of warnings. No written violations gone out yet, but a handful of warnings to residents, just reminding them that we are no smoking. And the overwhelming majority of families we serve throughout all our developments are very glad that we implemented it. They see the health benefits of it, and we haven't had any issues with it. And we have one of the surprising things, and we talked about the last time, are people going to move out because of this this policy? We have no one so far that has moved out because of the policy. And in fact, we had some families that said, well, now that you're smoke-free, I want to live there, because they're worried about it.
That sounds real positive. Just so we can state for the record, no one has been evicted or threatened to have their lease terminated?
That is correct. We've not only have we not evicted, we have not had to issue any written violations, which is usually the first step. But our families, they're in compliance. If we see them starting to light up, or our other residents, it's like, no, you can't do that here, and they put it out and they'll go someplace else to smoke.
Wow. Now, are there exercise amenities? Are we also promoting healthy living?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. We have been working very closely with Samuel Rogers Health Center, Truman Medical Center, the Black Healthcare Coalition, and the Health Foundation of Greater Kansas City to bring smoking cessation classes to the families that we serve. And along with that, they're also addressing other health issues that the families we serve have in their everyday life and how they can address it, all the way down to just healthy living. When they start talking to the families we serve, they'll talk about, what kind of meals do you serve, and how often do you eat, and do you have a regular meal? And just give them little tidbits about, instead of cooking with oil, cook with a different material, and changing your lifestyle, making sure you have enough fruits and vegetables in your diet, and also addressing where they can get food products at a reasonable price, as opposed to going and buying junk food at the local bodega or so forth. But making sure that they know where you can buy things and what to look for.
Thank you for sharing that with What's Up, Kansas City. Something else that I read, that Kansas City hopes to replace the deteriorating courts. Is it Chateau Court?
Chateau Courts.
Chateau Court.
Yes, Chateau Courts is one of our oldest developments. It was built originally in 1959. It's because of the architecture and so forth, it's very hard to keep up to date and make it livable. And several years ago, we invested $4 million into it to bring it up to some standards, but we knew it would have to be replaced over time. And we have a unique opportunity where we've applied for a $30 million what they call Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's a federal grant. But in order to get that grant, our plan has to be a total neighborhood revitalization. And our neighborhood focuses in the Old Northeast, working with the Northeast Chamber of Commerce and the Northeast Neighborhood Associations, but also working with the City of Kansas City, the Kansas University of Medicine and Bioscience, that's right there in the heart of the neighborhood, as well as the United Way, LISC, Link, and over 30 different partners.
Sounds very comprehensive.
That we're bringing an opportunity to revitalize. It would be a total replacement and moving Chateau Courts, as well as scattering it. Our focus is to make 8 different communities that would be a combination of public housing and affordable housing and market rate housing, so families all live together in a variety of different areas within the neighborhood as opposed to concentrating very poor people.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, on your website, you have something called, Mr. Lowndes, a 2015 annual plan.
Yes.
In addition to the smoking ban, the update, and the shelter courts revitalization, what else might we expect to hear from the Kansas City Housing Authority?
There are 2 significant projects I want to make sure people are aware of that we're working on. One is we've been working, just recently started working with the City of Kansas City and also Congressman Cleaver's office on digital inclusion. Digital inclusion is where you look through our community, and particularly very low-income families don't have access to the internet in their home. They may have access on their phone through that, but they don't have the ability to sit down in their own home and the children do their homework via the internet, or go into the digital library and so forth, or even apply for a job online. They would have to go to the library, or they'd have to go to a community center to do that. Digital inclusion is it's in its beginning stages of how do we work with the internet service providers such as Google Fiber, which is coming to Kansas City, to bring no cost or low cost internet services to families that otherwise couldn't afford it. But they also need the equipment. So we're working with a very significant partner here in Kansas City called Connecting for Good. They're very well established over in Kansas City, Kansas, and they're bringing their program here to Kansas City, Missouri, where they obtain old computers from a number of businesses and they reuse them or repurpose them and turn them into computers and then sell them for a very low cost, modest cost to the families that need them. They may be $50 to $75 for a machine that has all the up-to-date software on it and internet capable. That family can now use that in their home to gain access. So we're very excited about working on a digital inclusion initiative. The other initiative we're looking at and have been working with is how to address homelessness in Kansas City. We've talked the last time about between our 2 programs, the rental assistance program, people know it as Section 8, Housing Choice Voucher, and our public housing, we can only serve about 10,000 families. Really? I have 17,500 families on my wait list. As well as we know there's a number of homeless families in Kansas City who have household incomes of well below $10,000 a year.
What happens to those families who are on the waiting list that you are unable to serve?
A number of them will double up with other family members or friends and neighbors. We call that sofa surfing, where they'll just find a place to live. They're in the shelters. A number of them that are on our wait list are living in substandard housing. As we know, here in Kansas City, there's a number of abandoned houses and vacant housing. Sometimes they'll just stay in those houses for a few nights. They are also living in the shelters, and some of them they're living in decent housing, but they may be paying up to 50, 60, 70% of their income for the rent because they're that low income.
How long does it take for that list to be turned over, Mr. Lowndes?
5 to 7 years. Currently, we are as we are issuing vouchers in our voucher program. I think it's applicants from 2010. So it's 4 plus almost 5 years along.
That's not a short amount of time.
No, it's very lengthy. Now on our public housing program, because that depends on the family size and the public housing units that come available, it can be much quicker. Some families we can serve within 6 months of applying. But larger families, it's going to take another several years before we get to.
And so what's on the agenda to help homeless families?
It is a large coordination with a number of social service providing agencies out there to bring all the housing tools together to try to unify an intake system to where when a family needs housing assistance or social service assistance, they only have to go to one place and that application will serve for all their needs. And by collectively working together, Some families only need short-term housing assistance, and they can work through one of the programs through one of the social service agencies. A number of them need long-term housing assistance, and we can help focus the need that that family has with the resources that are available in a much more effective manner to do than we are today. So we're very excited about bringing all the community partners together in Kansas City, from social service providers to homeless shelter providers, to the education providers, to our employment providers.
You mentioned
together.
homeless veterans more specifically.
Yes, that is a national initiative. Homeless veterans it's one of those, you shake your head and say, why would any veteran be homeless? I mean, they served our country, and why should they be out on the street? So we have a focus that we want to do that. We have over 300 vouchers that are designated specifically for homeless veterans. And we work very closely with the Veterans Administration to find and identify those veterans that need these services. And we have a wonderful group of landlords that want to rent to and they're willing to take risks, because some of these veterans have a number of other issues that they're facing. But landlords that'll come out and say, I will house that person because they're working with the VA and they're working with the Housing Authority, and how can I be part of that to make this person successful?
Awesome. Now I'd like to ask you about the recent allegement that workers were underpaid, and get your comment if you care to, Mr. Lowndes. $4.5 million in stimulus money was recently used to fix up low-income housing in Kansas City. It's been alleged that workers were underpaid because they were listed as independent contractors and not federal employees by as much as up to $20 an hour. I guess you were on the record as saying that this came about because you did spot checks and you were unable at that time to review pay documents. Has computer systems been updated so this won't happen in the future again?
Well, first we want to make sure we clarify the record that we went back and looked at all the contracts that we had with the contractors. And it's the funds that the contractors paid their employees that it was alleged to be less than adequate. And when we completed our review, it was less than $1,000 that was underpaid out of all the contracts that were involved. So, and we worked with with those contractors that we could identify. And the reason I say that is we went back to contracts that were 4 or 5 years old. That was part of the review. And the contractors that we talked to, they made restitution and they paid that $1,000. So everyone's been made whole. But as far as the review is concerned, when we have a contract with an outside contractor, that contractor is required to turn in paperwork every week and how they paid their employees. We still do a spot check, but we've changed how we do things, of looking for more telltale signs of something that might be amiss. The part of the story, and this was a national story, it wasn't just here in Kansas City, but the story that came out was trying to make a distinction between a worker that was classified as an independent contractor and a regular employee. Well, the independent contractors still had to be paid the same amount. The question is, who had to pay the state taxes, their income taxes, or the withholdings? And that's not something, and HUD has agreed with us, that's not something that we review. But if we see something that is suspicious, we refer that to the State Department of Revenue, so they can now do a further investigation to confirm whether that person really is an independent contractor and is paying their fair share of state and federal income taxes, or if they're really a true employee and the contractor should be doing those withholdings.
Well, I'm glad that distinction has been made and that restitution has also been made, because I'm a worker. I want my money.
Oh, yes.
And in closing, Mr. Lowndes, can you tell us anything else? Do you have any other upcoming projects that we need to be kept abreast of?
I think the main thing that we're focused in on is making sure that we're providing high-quality housing to the families we serve. We have, on our voucher program, we have a wonderful relationship with the landlords that we serve. that they know that when we come in and inspect, we're inspecting for the benefit of our clients to make sure they have quality housing.
How wonderful.
And the housing that we provide directly through public housing, we want to make sure that it doesn't meet the minimum, that it meets a market rate quality, because the families we serve deserve that level. We know that housing is the foundation of their life, literally and figuratively. That if you have quality housing, then you can start addressing the other needs of your family, of education and employment.
Now we want to get our residents, our What's Up Kansas City viewers to chime in. How can they reach you?
Our main number, 816-968-4100, and that'll put into a queue that through the prompting you can get to the right department of who you'd like to talk to.
Thank you for appearing on our show today, Mr. Lowndes. We'll have to invite you to come back. Again, we're only 6 weeks into the new year. What's Up Kansas City? Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Aim high. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care until next time.
CMG wants you to always remember, the victory we call success goes to the best prepared. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Thanks.